is the North End. This is the North End.
Hey guys, it's JP California, shooting you guys our 5 things we learned about Aston Villa today, March 13th, Sunday. West Ham at home against Villa, the away traveling team. I'm outside. It's a beautiful, brisk day. 20 Celsius, 23 Celsius, about 69, 72 degrees. I got my dogs with me because it's so nice out. My big old German Shepherd and Aussie Shepherd. It's a nice morning. And while on some mornings I'm really down and in the dumps, I'm not super down about this game today. I felt like Aston Villa gave a really good account of themselves. It's not very many losses you come away with just kind of holding your head up and say, okay, let's keep going. And I feel like that's kind of one of these games where Villa might not have gotten the result, but it wasn't for effort, it wasn't for tactics, it was just that rub of the grass today. So, without any ado, here's those 5 things we learned about Aston Villa. In today's account, I think the standard of play was pretty solid for us. Sorry about the dog in the background. I thought the standard of play from us was very good. I thought the tempo in the first half was pretty fast. I felt overall Villa really did account themselves well. We put ourselves out there. We went for it. And I feel like that's the basic standard. That should be our standard from now on, is a performance like that. I believe that performance would have gotten us a win against 5-6 teams in the bottom half of the table. I felt like a result like that possibly should have gotten us a tie today and would have done well against most teams. So for us, I want to see a little consistency in our performances, and I think creating a standard of play, performing to that standard would get us there. Number 2, utilize our wide players. It was very evident in today's game that we tried to keep the ball in the middle of the field, and we tried to force the ball up the middle of the field quite a bit. There was numerous times where Coutinho was dropping deep to get the ball and then trying to find players through gaps, playing through windows or breaking lines, which is like the West Ham midfield line, trying to play through them into attacking positions, especially in the second half when we got when we were pushing for our first goal, getting our first goal and trying to get our second goal. We tried to really hold the ball in the center of the park and try and play through them instead of go to a wide player who are very open. Ashley Young had acres of space on the right-hand side. We still like to go to Matty Cash quite a bit. But I just felt like we didn't go wide early enough, and if you can go wide, it can help spread out midfields and defenses on their team, and then you could bring it back in to play through. And if you keep playing in the center of the field, it's really easy for teams to be compact. You have to play wide to stretch teams and then create those windows. And I just don't feel like we utilized Ashley Young enough. I don't feel like we utilized Matty Cash enough in that second half. I just felt like we tried a little too much up the middle, and we could have varied our kind of attacking positions a little bit. Number 3, corner takers. We've talked about this before. I was really, really sad to see Douglas Luiz back on corners. I was really, really sad to see John McGinn back on corners because I think they freaking suck, honestly. I think Dougie's corners are not good enough. I think McGinn's are just giant lobs. They're too long in the air. They're not bullet-driven corners. I think Coutinho started to cramp a little bit. It did seem like he started to slow down a little bit for me. So I feel like if we're taking corners and Philip Coutinho's getting a little crampy, put somebody else on it. I don't know who, and it can't be that. It can't be those two because they are so bad at it. Maybe put Matty Cash on one. But I know having Luka Dean go off injured early really did kind of hamper our left-footed corner taker, so I'll give us that. But Dougie can't be taking corners. They're just not good enough. I know he doesn't really have the size in the box, but just because he doesn't have the size doesn't mean he gets to take corners. Put him on the goalie, right? Emi Buendia isn't tall enough, but he gets on a lot of corners and crosses, so why can't Douglas Luiz? So either they need to learn to take better corners, or we need to switch it up because their corners are just not good enough. That's not the standard of play that we talked about earlier. Number 4, team depth. Last game and this game, I thought it was pretty prevalent that our team depth is getting very good. You got players like Ashley Young coming in, doing a job, Callum Chambers coming in, doing a job, and there's other guys too. You got Sanson, you got Bailey on the bench, you got Traore on the bench, you got Chukwuemeka, an 18-year-old who's looking good coming off the bench. Our bench is pretty deep now, and it's a great thing to see with Aston Villa, and it's good to see that we can utilize players and not have this massive drop-off. Luka Dean getting injured, throwing in Ashley Young, and Ashley Young seamlessly transitioned this time. We have put him on right back, and he gave up a goal for a winner, but this time I thought he did well. And it's just nice to see the depth at Villa being a little bit better than it has been in years past, and honestly, I think this is the best depth we've had in about a decade. So squad depth is looking good. I'm really happy with it. And I think we will ship a few of those guys out in the summer and bring in a few new ones. So we'll wait to see on that accord. And last thing for our 5 things we learned about Aston Villa today, and that is something not on the field. Contracts. Ashley Young's contract is coming up this summer. He's been a very important piece to the cog that is Aston Villa. I mean, he has a rich history with Aston Villa. But I feel like he still has more to go. He seems like one of those players who's going to play for another 5 years, maybe the MLS, maybe La Liga, or maybe one of the lower leagues down the column. But I think he still has a lot to give, and I think Villa need to sign him up for another year. Chukwuemeka's contract is coming up next summer. He's 18 years old. He's the 3rd youngest EPL player this year. He needs to sign in a contract, and there's been one put in front of him, according to The Athletic. He says he's going to wait for the summer. Fair enough, but if he doesn't get stuff done early in the summer, we got to sell him. And for us to lose what is looking like a quality 18-year-old, it's just not good enough for Villa. We need to tie him down, give him a good contract, ship him out on loan to a championship team where he's going to get a lot of minutes because he is of that quality. If Aaron Ramsey wasn't playing so much, I think Chukwuemeka would be in more. But, we have a 20-year-old starting. We have an 18-year-old on the bench that is getting game time. There's nothing wrong with that, but we got to tie those contracts down and be smart. And Villa are being a club, a properly run club, and taking care of contracts now, so hopefully we can continue that. The 3rd player, obviously, Philip Coutinho is getting a lot of interest. People are starting to say, hey, we need to tie him down. We need to get that done. I think Villa is doing the right thing in not signing Philip Coutinho immediately. He is a loan player, and everybody knows loan players can show up and light the world on fire, and then they sign their contract and they're duds. So I feel like waiting for a $35 million option is a good idea. I think we should sign him, but apparently also from The Athletic, the contract and wage structure for Philip Coutinho has already been discussed and put in place. So Aston Villa really shouldn't have to worry about a wage or sign him to a contract. It's just a when, not an if. So hopefully we can get that done, but I don't think we need to rush on him. But the biggest one, and this one isn't Philip Coutinho, it's not Ashley Young, it's not Chukwuemeka, is, here's my big dog, Aussie Shepherd running around here, is actually Douglas Luiz. And Douglas Luiz, his contract is coming up next summer. He's pretty much started for us 95% of games for the past 3 years in the EPL. We signed him as a 21-year-old. He's 24 now. He's coming into a great time. He's utilizing what he learns. He is at a very good standard, and many would agree that Douglas Luiz, if he went to any other league, he'd probably be a top center mid or becoming a top center mid in one of those leagues. Everyone knows he wants to play in the number 8 role. And I think that's a very big option for him. I think him and Ramsey will be battling it out for number 8 position next year. Or even taking some of the place of John McGinn, because John McGinn has not looked super consistent this year. But at 24, a player we had at 21 getting through no longer with a buyback clause to Man City, we need to tie him down to a new contract. We really do. We can't be letting him go into the final year or potentially losing him. If he doesn't sign early, we need to sell him. and we need to get 20, 25, 30 million from him, which is doable. A player who's that young, doing that well, I think it's totally an option. I know Arsenal were very interested in him. I believe Juventus were also interested in him. AS Roma really liked him with Jose Mourinho. I think he's definitely a Jose Mourinho type of player. But with that said, he's an Aston Villa player, and we need to make sure he stays an Aston Villa player. We need to give him a nice contract, make him feel loved, and keep him at the club for a little bit longer. I hope we can get him signed to a five and a half year deal, so we don't have to worry about Douglas Luiz for a while. But that's 4 guys we need to tie down: Ashley Young, Chuck Wameka, Phil Coutinho, which I don't think is going to be a problem, and the biggest one, Douglas Luiz. So hopefully Villa can get those done in the next few months, going in the beginning of summer, so we don't really have to worry about that. There's our 5 things we learned. Number 1, standard of play looking so much better. 2, utilizing wide players more. Number 3, corner takers. Good gosh. 4, team depth. And 5, contracts. Something off the field. If you guys like this video, please like and subscribe below. I'm starting to get some comments in here, and I gotta tell you guys, I love it. You guys' criticism or praise is awesome. So keep shooting at us, keep watching the videos, keep sending them out. If you can, give a share. And thank you guys. From JP California here at the North End YouTube channel. Have a great Sunday.
This is the North End. This is the North End.